Hi, folks. We're clearly into 2025 and de-dollarization isn't stopping, it's accelerating. China and other BRICS nations are clearly scared of President Trump, and it's making them more determined to reduce their dependency on the US dollar and establish themselves as their own independent superpowers. What's their secret weapon? Gold. In fact, China is resumed buying gold. And you know, it's even more telling, they've underreported the buy. Why is that? Well, it's because they recognize gold's global value and its ability to withstand economic shocks. Gold is a global asset with innate value. It's tangible, reliable, and it's also immune to economic manipulation. China and other BRICS countries want to be prepared. They just don't want it to be revealed. But it isn't about other nations. Ultimately, it's about you. In a world of shifting economic power, gold is your personal hedge against uncertainty. Noble Gold Investments can help you secure your financial future with gold. Please visit noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. And with a new qualified account, receive 10 1-ounce silver American Eagle coins. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Please remember, past performance does not guarantee future results, and there's no guarantee of investments of any kind. Hi, this is your weekly wrap-up for Friday, February 21st, 2025. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. We appreciate your support. As always, if you're new to the podcast, please do like, subscribe, and share so that others can gain in the knowledge you're always being afforded. So let's get started. This week's shows, we had the one and only Miss Sandy Mirarecki giving us her great insight, Norman Traversy and special guest, Bill Holter, and a new guest to the channel, Steve Previch, CEO of Firepoint Quantum Energy, who talked a lot about cold fusion along with quantum energies that are going to be coming out to us in the public. Next week, to round out a very long and frenetic, busy, productive month, we have once again Colin Plume, who is the CEO, one of our chief sponsors, Noble Gold. The one and only Mr. Gregory Manarino. Always look forward to his insights. And of course, good friend Nick Veniamin, and a special returning guest, B, one of our secret financial experts, who has been more accurate than most and will give us a good idea of when the melt up and the bust is coming up for this year. We also have channel owner Chris for a monthly channel update on the foreign currency customer service, as well as the shipping status of the commemorative rare silver coin that we were offering last year. And now to the headlines. The leader of the world's Roman Catholic Church has been hospitalized in Rome and is forced to cancel all public activities through this weekend, according to news reports. Pope Francis, who is 88, was active Friday morning, meeting with the Prime Minister of Slovakia and other dignitaries, according to the AP. However, he appeared in ill health and, according to CNN, was struggling to speak for extended periods. Francis has suffered from bronchitis the past week, according to AP, and it was evident before his hospitalization. The 88-year-old was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital last Friday for bronchitis, but the Holy See said on Monday it was changing his treatment to deal with a, quote, complex clinical picture. After initially clearing his diary up to Wednesday, the Vatican said that an audience on Saturday would be canceled, and the Pope delegated a planned mass on Sunday morning to another cleric. The Louisiana Legislative Auditor's latest annual report details over $3 billion in missing, misappropriated, overstated, or understated funds across 18 state agencies and political subdivisions. The Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness had one of the most significant financial accountability failures. The agency had failed to properly document expenses, exceeded cost estimates, and violated procurement guidelines in reimbursement expenses requests totaling $177.8 million in unsupported costs and another $52.6 million in improper contract spending. A chieftain of the All Progressives Congress and former presidential aspirant of the party, Adamaou Garba, has affirmed to the allegations that the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, was funding Boko Haram and other terrorist organizations. Garba said funds from USAID were used to procure weapons for Boko Haram, ISWAP, as well as other terrorist groups. In a video he posted on X, Garba wondered how USA had spent $824 million last year in Nigeria. Recall that Pennsylvania Republican lawmaker Scott Perry had claimed that USAID was funding terrorist organizations. Troubling news continues to pile up for New York City public schools. Kids keep performing poorly on standardized tests, which is fueling a race to the exits by parents seeking better opportunities. That has led to school enrollments well below capacity. Yet these schools remain open, draining dollars without boosting achievement. For taxpayers and parents seeking better schools, it's pure madness. Take the just released National Assessment of Educational Progress, aka the nation's report card. It finds that just 23% of eighth graders in the city are proficient in math and 29% in reading. Only a third of fourth graders are proficient in math and even fewer, 28% in reading. Statewide, the best results were just 37% of fourth graders proficient in math. Linda McMahon, President Trump's nominee to head the U.S. Department of Education, stood in solidarity Thursday with his goal of dismantling the department, an overhaul that could affect billions of dollars in K-12 funding, financial aid, and student loans flow to California schools and colleges. President Trump, McMahon said, pledged to make American education the best in the world, returning education to the states where it belongs, and free American students from the educational bureaucracy through school choice. McMahon's hearing in Washington, D.C. took place the day after President Trump commented that the department should be shut down immediately, calling it a big con job based on the level of governmental spending on education, as well as the nation's overall poor results on standardized tests compared to other countries. Excuse me. Berkshire Hathaway, the investment conglomerate led by Warren Buffett, reduced its holdings in USA banks like Bank of America and Citigroup shares in the final quarter of 2024. The move, disclosed in a regulatory filing on Friday, comes as Buffett continues to trim Berkshire's stock portfolio, favoring safer investments such as U.S. Treasury bills. Berkshire slashed down nearly 3/4 of its position in Citigroup, selling 40.6 million shares, valued at over $2.4 billion. The firm also continued to unload shares of BOA, which it had previously owned a 13% stake, being the largest shareholder the past 2 years. After waiting for the regional banking crisis that started in early 2023 to settle, Buffett began reducing his position last July. By September of last year, the conglomerate had sold over $10 billion in Bank of America shares. A shadowy organization that Republicans have long accused of laundering foreign money into the American electoral system poured tens of millions of dollars into liberal groups during the 2024 election, new tax filings show. The Burger Action Fund, a public advocacy group founded by Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Wyss, transferred $34.4 million to the 1630 fund between April 23 and March of 24. Alongside tens of millions more to other left-wing activists, nonprofit disclosures first shared with Politico. Conservative activists have accused Wyss of using the 1630 Fund, a major left-wing dark money group, as a vehicle to influence American policy with new foreign wealth through a loophole in campaign finance law. Department of Homeland Security has cut 405 employees from its workforce, a DHS official first told ABC News on Friday. The bulk of these cuts were at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which saw over 200 people cut, and then the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which saw an additional 130 people cut. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services saw under 50 people cut, and DHS Science and Technology Directorate saw 10 people cut. A major Michigan insurance company is in talks to possibly settle more than 100 lawsuits by employees who were fired after declining to get a COVID-19 jab, court records show. The disclosure comes 3 months after a jury awarded more than $12 million to a woman who had worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for more than 30 years. Much of that award will likely be reduced because of a cap on punitive damages. However, in a court filing, lawyers for Blue Cross and Lisa Domsky asked a federal judge to put her case on hold Thursday while they work with a mediator in order to try to reach a global resolution over similar lawsuits. Blue Cross and Noah Hurwitz, the attorney representing Domsky, as well as many former employees, declined to comment further on Friday. Domsky is an IT specialist, said she was a victim of religious discrimination. Blue Cross in 2021 did not grant an exemption from its COVID-19 jab policy, despite her insistence that the jab clashed with her Catholic faith. 30 Kenyan companies are at risk of closing businesses after U.S. President Trump's order to shut down the U.S. Agency for International Development. These companies are among the beneficiaries of USAID Developmental Innovation Ventures. DIV has invested over $100 million in Kenyan entrepreneurs over the past 10 years in order to promote innovations in agriculture, healthcare, as well as renewable energy. However, the funding stream is now gone, leaving many promising ventures scrambling for alternatives. Members of the Epidemic Intelligence Service, EIS, were told on Friday that they were among nearly 1,300 to be laid off at the CDC, according to reports in Stat and CBS News. Experts from EIS have been dispatched for decades to investigate disease outbreaks in the US and abroad, including when state health departments have needed help in determining the origin. We're well into 2025 and de-dollarization continues. China and BRICS nations are reducing their dependency on the US dollar, and their secret weapon is gold. China's buying gold quietly, underreporting their purchases because they know gold's global value, its ability to withstand economic shocks, as well as immunity to manipulation. But it's not about other nations. Ultimately, it's about you. Gold is your personal hedge against uncertainty, and Noble Gold's investments can help you to secure your financial future with gold. Please visit noblegoldinvestments.com now, and with a qualified account, you'll receive 10 1-ounce silver eagle coins. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. And remember, past performance does not guarantee future results, and there is always a risk of investments with any kind. Origin of foodborne illnesses. The program's emphasis on field work has earned members the nickname disease detectives. EIS were among the first responders dispatched to investigate the post-9/11 anthrax attacks that targeted U.S. politicians and media, for example. Excuse me. Southwest Airlines said on Monday it's cutting roughly 15% of corporate jobs, or roughly 1,750 people, a move its CEO called unprecedented as the company scrambles to cut costs. The company said it expects savings from the cuts of $210 million this year and about $300 million in 2026. The layoffs will be mostly done by the end of the second quarter and include some senior leadership roles, CEO Bob Jordan said in a staff note, which was seen by CNBC. Nearly $500 million being requested to respond to an increase in anti-Semitic as well as Islamophobic threats and violence nationally and in North Carolina. Addressed to the Appropriations Committee leadership of the House of Representatives, 4 congressmen asked for $454.5 million for the nonprofit security grant program. The embattled FEMA agency, as part of the Department of Homeland Security, led by Kristi Noem, is the administrator. About 400 recently hired support staff employees at the FAA were fired over the weekend as part of the Trump administration's mass termination of federal workers, according to the union representing the employees. The dismissals come less than 3 weeks after a midair collision between American Airlines regional jet and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter outside Washington killed 67 people and brought new scrutiny to air traffic controllers and their workloads. Like others across the federal workforce, the terminated FAA employees were probationary workers hired or promoted within the past year. Lee Zeldin reveals shocking abuse by Biden's EPA, $20 billion parked in an outside financial institution in last-minute heist. Lee Zeldin, the administrator of the EPA, provided an update to the money wasted on Biden's watch in response to undercover video posted by Project Veritas in December. As previously reported, an EPA advisor was exposed in a Project Veritas undercover video admitting that the agency rushed to allocate billions of taxpayer dollars to climate change initiatives just before President Trump's inauguration. Brent Efron, a special advisor at the EPA and instrumental in implementing Biden's climate agenda, spoke to a Project Veritas operative about the rush to distribute and disperse funds 2 months before the inauguration. Merck and a woman suing the drug maker agreed to halt a trial over alleged injuries from the drug maker's human HPV vaccine in a case with ties to U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the company said. Merck and the plaintiff plan to reconvene in a Los Angeles state court in September with a new jury, the company said in a statement provided to Reuters. Kennedy, confirmed as HHS secretary last week, played an instrumental role in organizing mass litigation against Merck over Gardasil before taking office, but has not been involved in the Los Angeles trial after entering an initial court appearance within the case. He did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Dairy Queen abruptly closes 24 locations. Dairy Queen, founded in 1940, has around 4,500 locations across the country, more than 500 of which are in the Lone Star State. Some of the closed locations have been in business for more than half a century. Dairy Queen's items available vary by location, but include the likes of fryers, grills, tables, chairs, cutlery, and refrigerators. Buyers must bid for the complete contents of each location. They cannot pick and choose at individual items. COVID vaccines will be suspended for all age groups in America under radical new plans backed by key figures in the Trump administration. Several experts poised for top jobs in the U.S. health agencies subscribe to the fact that the shots are causing widespread side effects and death. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who has been nominated to lead in the NIH, has backed a petition calling for the mRNA vaccines to be paused and retested. DailyMail.com confirms. He is one of the signatories of the Hope Accord, which claims there is a causal link between the mRNA shots as well as an alarming rise in the excess of deaths worldwide. The story of a 12-year-old girl whose family claims she was denied a heart transplant for being unvaccinated has caught the attention of House Republicans, who are now introducing legislation to prevent hospitals from restricting transplants based on a COVID-19 vaccination status. Representative Michael Rowley of Ohio and Aaron Houchin of Indiana introduced the Non-Discrimination COVID Act on Friday. The bill, shared exclusively with the Washington Examiner, would prohibit federal funds from being made available to facilities that refuse to provide treatment based on a COVID-19 vaccination status. The legislation comes after Janine Deal, who is related through marriage to Vice President J.D. Vance, said Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center requires her daughter Adeline to receive the COVID-19 and flu vaccinations, which Deal and her husband do not want to give her, for her to be placed on a transplant list. Kentucky Fried Chicken is being uprooted from its ancestral home state in a shakeup announced on Tuesday by a parent company that will relocate the chain's U.S. corporation to Texas. The food chain, now known as KFC, launched by Colonel Harlan Sanders, and its secret blend of 11 herbs and spices will now be based in Plano, Texas. And about 100 KFC location employees will be relocated in the next 6 months, said Yum Brands, which owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. Attorney Kyle Diamantis is expected to be announced as the new Deputy Commissioner for Human Foods and the Food and Drug Administration following his predecessor's resignation early this week, a source familiar with the decision said. Diamantis is registered as an attorney in Florida and is currently listed as a special assistant in the FDA Commissioner's Office, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Employee Directory. The electric vehicle maker Nikola has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, it said on Wednesday. Executives said in October the EV maker had enough cash to operate only until the first quarter of 2025. Nikola faces fraud allegations in 2020, leading to investigations as well as his founder's conviction. The troubled electric truck maker Nikola has filed for Chapter 11, the company said on Wednesday. New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene has started to feel the effects of recent turmoil at the federal health agencies. Among hundreds of recent terminations in the CDC and prevention were 7 CDC employees assigned to the City Health Department, Dr. Michelle Morse, the acting health commissioner, told City Council members during an oversight hearing on Wednesday. The agency is attempting to retain those employees whom Morse described as people with tremendous expertise. Close to 300 people will lose their jobs in the coming months when the food and beverage giant PepsiCo closes its Liberty manufacturing facility, which produces Popcorners brand snacks and has been a major employer in the area for almost 30 years. The layoffs will occur over 14 days starting May 21st, according to a worker adjustment and retaining notification PepsiCo filed with the State Department of Labor, which was obtained by the Times Union. The notice states that the affected employees were not unionized. And finally, we are pleased to confirm and announce that Kash Patel is officially confirmed as your new FBI director. Patel was voted in and approved by a slim 51-49 margin. And that concludes the headlines. Now for the precious metals and Brent crude prices as of the time of this broadcast. Gold is up to all-time highs at $2,959.20. Silver up slightly at $33.49, and Brent crude holding steadily at $72.65. And for the resignations, Jim Jones, the head of the food division at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, who oversaw the agency's banning of the food dye Red No. 3 earlier this year, stepped down on Monday, citing widespread across the agency that he said will make it hard to implement the types of changes that the Trump administration is seeking, according to a document reviewed by Bloomberg News. The head of the New York University College Republicans campus resigned after calling President Trump's youngest son an oddity on campus. Kaya Walker described NYU freshman Barron Trump to Vanity Fair last week as, quote, sort of like an oddity on campus, adding, he goes to class and he goes home. She also told the magazine that one of her professors joked that the first son doesn't really belong there, referring to the school's historically liberal politics. In response, College Republicans of America said in a statement Monday that Walker's do not align with their values and principles upheld by the organization. While the group blasted the media's portrayal of her comments, they said they still found them inappropriate. Adrienne Rourke, who was named president of Paramount Global News Division of August of last year, revealed Thursday morning to staffers that she plans to leave the company at the end of February to take a role at Tegna, the TV station group that was once part of Gannett. A CBS spokesperson confirmed Rourke's announcement, but declined to offer additional comment. Rourke's exit was previously reported by Breaker, a newsletter focused on New York media, politics, and culture. Pope Francis could resign if his health deteriorates further, an Italian cardinal has suggested. Cardinal Gianfranco Ravasi, the former head of the Vatican's Department of Cultural Affairs, has raised the possibility as the 88-year-old pontiff spent his 60-day in hospital battling pneumonia in both lungs. He said the Pope has been decisive and hinted that he might voluntarily step down as the head of the Roman Catholic Church if his health continues to deteriorate. And that concludes the wrap up of the resignations. And now on to our normal weekly commentary. Folks, we're not here to push the status quo or make certain people or religious groups feel comfortable. We're after the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or disquieting it might be to some. This goes for believers and non-believers of the Lord alike. If a subject matter we raise bothers you, well, that's something for you to examine within yourself, instead of lashing out at us with meanness and contempt in your comments. Furthermore, is it true? Is it edifying to the body of Christ, your comments? Is that how he would react or handle the situation? And what type of impression does that leave upon the world that already has a dim and skeptical view in terms of Christians in the church? Something you may want to consider before reacting so harshly and with such disdain. The truth, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it is still the truth. We need to remember we were lied to about everything virtually we've ever known in this life, across the board. The sooner we face and adjust to that reality, the better off as a society we will all be. And that concludes this week's wrap up. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. God bless. Take care. Goodbye for now.